Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the Aftershocks of After Loss. I am Rachel Donnelly with Black Dress Consultants, and I am super excited because I'm going to have one of my oldest pageantry join me today, Max from Oaktree Memorials. There you
Hello.
are. All right. My connection mysteriously. I think you were like the saving grace or the magic to make it happen.
No,
So,
all good. It happens.
I mean, that was like so 2020, like, oh, I'm having,
hmm
connection issues. So,
Unfortunately, it's
um,
still 2021. I think everyone's having that. Even with Zoom, now it's never perfect.
oh my gosh, I know. Don't you? I mean, it's just so irritating. But anyway, we are here now, and I was just sort of saying, like, I feel like you and Miles are like one of my oldest pals here
hmm
in the death tree. Like, I feel like we're like you're like the OG people,
Since
It's
since day
like
one.
so why don't you go ahead and take a moment to introduce yourself and tell everybody all about you and all about Oak Tree.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, thanks again for having me on. I think this is our second webinar slash
Yeah.
Instagram live that we've done together. So it's always great to speak with you about these topics. And yeah,
Yeah.
as you said, we've known each other since day one, which is
Yeah.
essentially like late last summer, kind
Yeah,
of
I
when we
know.
both.
That's go. I mean, but like that feels like a lifetime ago. It
Oh yeah,
honestly does.
definitely. Yeah, so we met I think late last summer. That was about 2 months before we launched Oak Tree Memorials, which was officially in November of 2020.
Okay.
Um, but to go back a little bit, my name's Max Lemper-Tabatsky. I'm originally from New York, but moved out to California a bunch of years ago, and that's where I'm living now in Southern California.
Hmm.
Um, I started Oak Tree with Miles, as I mentioned last year. Miles had been in the funeral and end of life space in a
Right.
professional capacity a few years ago, and that's how he got into it from a business perspective. But we both really, the genesis of it was both really, we had personal experiences dealing with loss of our family members,
Hmm.
as well as our pets. And
Right.
losing a pet sometimes can be just as tough or more
It
difficult
it is.
than
It is.
losing a
And it's
family
one
member.
of the area it's one of the blind spots areas that I address with clients. I'm like, because
hmm
they are, according to the eyes of the law, they belong to your estate.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's true. Yeah, there's like equity ownership if it's a couple
Yeah, I
too, and
know,
it
I
can get
know.
all
So
messy.
yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, so we both went through the loss of family members and had the experience of choosing an urn with our families and really having it be a very kind of lackluster, just very a dearth of options. We were given like three to
Right.
five options. They were, all the traditional urns as we know nowadays. Yes,
Yeah, not
the
great.
traditional,
Yeah.
the traditional vase-like urns that I think, have been around for centuries, since the ancient
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And they really haven't changed in terms of design and also the materials used.
Hmm.
So we had a pretty underwhelming experience, finding urns for our
Hmm.
family members.
You were not
And
impressed,
we
to say
weren't
the least.
impressed.
Yeah.
We weren't impressed, and ultimately it was a kind of a rush decision because we didn't
Yeah.
prepare for it. We just chose the three urns that the funeral homes were offering,
Right.
and
The three
ultimately,
that they offered. I mean,
yeah, at that point, exactly.
yeah.
And so with that said, given Miles's experience in the industry, actually meeting with other funeral homes and really seeing what's out there on a larger scale too, we synced up and we were like, there has to be, something
Has to
else
be a
out
better way.
there.
Yeah.
So the more we looked, the more we saw that there were, the traditional kind of Amazon stores.
Hmm.
And then there were really the one-man shops that you'll find on Etsy or just,
Hmm.
searching online that these all, really master craftsmen, but really only one-man shops that really have to dig for to find these custom
Right.
handmade type modern unique pieces. So we were like, let's try and, figure out a way to find these designers,
Mm-hmm.
design amazing designs that look not like the traditional type of urn that you
Not your
can be
grandma's urn.
exactly that you can be
Yeah.
proud to have in
Mm-hmm.
your, modern 21st century home, something that doesn't look like an urn, something that's just a beautiful memorial. Um,
Right.
and also something that's really is handmade in nature. Like all of our
Mm-hmm.
urns are handmade,
Mm-hmm.
but then is inconspicuous with its design, and it's just of immense, like of really exceptional quality because that's what was missing
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah.
You want something that will last forever. You want like this, perfect forever home. So for your loved
Mm-hmm.
one, and so we started, Oaktree in November of last year with that in mind. We worked over most of 2020 to find our artisans and designers and
Right.
work with them to curate as well as design and build our own memorials, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where we are today. And we've served at this point thousands of families, and
That's
it's been
awesome.
just an incredible experience. Ultimately, like we want the product to be amazing, but it's
Right.
really been the biggest part of it is especially given it's online, and we started,
Mm-hmm.
kind of in the midst of the pandemic when everything
Yeah.
was had to be online, whether you wanted it or
Yeah.
not. We wanted to make it as personal of an experience as possible and really handhold and walk our families through the whole process
Mm-hmm.
and they're our number one priority. So I think you can see, and we've been lucky enough to have great reviews, and you can see from our reviews that the experience is what ultimately they take away. Obviously, they love the product, but
Right.
we want to make it really thoughtful and personal. I think that's where we're differentiated from, the Amazon like stores and where you can't
Yeah.
get anyone on the phone. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. I
yeah.
think that that customer service piece and knowing where the material is coming from, having that
Hmm.
sustainable aspect is so
Hmm.
key. And I think what I love, just going back first and foremost, is nobody has ever stopped to question like where are these urns made? How are they made? And that, hey, maybe I should demand more choices
Hmm.
than what has been given to me. It's really, that's what I really applaud you for, is sort of bringing this to the forefront of, we don't have to select grandma's urn. Like,
Yeah.
we can have more choices. And God, I wish I'd had you when I was going through my, frequent flyer card at the funeral home, but because I just love, I love the craftsmanship. I love, and there are pieces that you want to showcase in
Hmm.
your home.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, yeah, with that said, I think that's the perfect kind of, you know, connection to why, we're talking today with being prepared for things, all
Mm-hmm.
things end of life
Yeah.
related, but specifically for memorialization is that like, ideally we've had more families now come to us who, you know, the other day a daughter and her mother. Unfortunately, the mother was in hospice. She was
Mm-hmm.
going to pass away in the next couple weeks. But the
Mm-hmm.
daughter and the mother got to choose the urn for the mother themselves and have it be a joint decision. Because oftentimes we hear from families after the fact or when they're deciding, when the person has passed, oh, I don't know what my mom or what my father or other family member would like.
Yeah.
I hope they'd like this. But, if you
Yeah.
end up preparing, it is inevitable. So it's something
Yeah.
as you become more comfortable with it. If you're able to choose it for yourself and, not have your family, also stress over, what exact style you may have wanted to
Yeah.
be in and be remembered by, it can be really a beautiful experience to prepare for it together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that sort of rounds out, why we're having you on today, sort of rounding out National Estate Planning Awareness Month, the grand finale with you, with Oak Tree Memorials, to prepare for the grand finale of your life.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the most, or one of the many blind spots that happens in end of life
Hmm.
planning is, not being communicative, not sharing with your family what your wishes are. If you even want to be cremated or buried, that's, and I've seen lots of strife over that. But then, like you said, communicating with your family to be like, hey, this is what I would want. I want to be scattered and have, because in my five farewelling five, I put, and if you haven't checked that out, it was on TikTok and it's on Instagram, but as and with my farewelling, I did my 5 top requests for when I pass away, and one of
Mm,
those was to be spread partially in Montana, some of my ashes spread there, and then the rest in one of Oaktree Memorial's beautiful urns, because I really ooh and ah every time I see your stuff. So going back, I had a point.
I
We're
appreciate
gonna
that. Well, honestly,
but
an anecdote for quickly on a person, like another customer story to kind of highlight that why that I think is a great idea to, clearly lay out what your desires are is,
yeah.
um, we had several months ago, it was another kind of daughter-mother situation where the daughter purchased one of our urns when the mother had just
Hmm.
passed away. And she absolutely loved it, was just say, this is the perfect piece. I think my mother would have loved it. But
Hmm.
then a month later, I get a call from her, and she says that, I love the piece, everything has been great, but we actually just finally in the last going through my mother's items, and we finally found in like the last box that we opened was a letter from her saying that she wanted to be scattered in the Pacific Ocean.
Oh man.
So yeah, so usually we don't, can't like accept returns on because it was a
Yeah,
personalized order and everything, but
yeah,
we did it in this case because that is such
right,
like an exceptional situation.
right.
And I know hopefully not too many families have to go through that because that is
Yeah,
also, it's a beautiful thing to have to actually know what your mother wants,
absolutely. And to be
but it
able to
would have been
fulfill
nice, I
that.
think, at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
when it happened.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I love that. And I love that, approach of putting that customer experience first
Hmm.
and helping them, like I said, fulfill the wishes of their loved one.
Yeah.
So bravo, kudos to you on that. So I'd love to, we have lots to unpack, and I'm sure you and I could talk forever. But I want to go back to one thing that I really love about Oak Tree is the quality, um, just the beauty of many of the memorial jewelry and the urns, the utility of them
Hmm.
being able to be used as vases or to put flowers in, but also the cost. And I think that that is something that we should really shine a light on, because that was one thing I ran into when planning memorials for families, is seeing just the sheer cost and things that I wasn't excited about, but they were super expensive.
Exactly. I think that's a good way to put it, is that there's a disconnect, right? You're not super
Right.
excited about what you're getting, and you're having to
Mm-hmm.
pay a significant amount of money for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, so, if you want an urn that is like under $100, you can, find those on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have, great options. If you're looking for a traditional style, you can find it there.
Right.
But all of our pieces are handmade. About more than half, like 60% of our collection is handmade in our
Okay.
facility in Sorrento, Italy. And
Oh, okay.
then
I
about
didn't
the
realize
rest
it
of,
was that many. Wow, that's a lot.
yeah, it's like about 50-60% of the pieces. And then I'd say the other half is also handmade by our artisans here in the US in Colorado and Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And the one in Colorado is the icosahedron 20-sided shaped piece that's really super unique.
Right.
But they're all using sustainably sourced woods.
Right.
Specifically, our Italian ones are
Mm-hmm.
FSC certified, which is the
Yeah.
Sustainable Forest Initiative. So
Okay.
we really consider that of utmost importance for us, is like maintaining that environmentally friendly
Yeah.
production, because on the other side you do have those traditional kind of brass urns being mass produced and
Mm-hmm.
really just not environmentally friendly ways, and whether they're in India or other countries in Asia. Um,
Yeah.
and we want to definitely make sure that we're being as sustainable and ethical as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
definitely. So
so many parts of the death care industry aren't sustainable, aren't
yeah.
environmentally friendly, from the
Hmm.
caskets to embalming to many things. So that's what I really love about one of the missions and values of your company.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with things that are more cheaply made, it's obviously a bit cheaper to produce. So for
Mm-hmm.
us, like our production costs are higher. So we're not necessarily saying our urns are affordable for every single person out there because, so they can range in prices.
Yeah.
But we do say that we are pricing them honestly. So you're really
Right.
paying for what you get.
Yeah.
The quality is there, and that the price kind of reflects that quality and the experience
Right.
you're going to get with it. And then
Right.
we've really tried to make it affordable though for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We've have a payment plan where you can pay in 4 monthly installments to break
Mm-hmm.
up the costs because it can be a large purchase. We've
Yeah.
actually had a lot of families as of late too use the COVID relief money to
Okay.
to kind of subsidize that cost as well,
Right. Yeah.
which hopefully, sometime in the future we'll have some sort of bereavement, funding and benefits kind of
Yeah.
package that
Yeah.
who are going through loss can use to
Mm-hmm.
subsidize and earn,
Yeah.
so they can afford to get ours. But yeah, we really
Mm-hmm.
try and work with families if cost is an issue, and we really don't want that to be a hindrance to purchasing one of our
Absolutely.
memorials.
Absolutely. Well, I think, Miles, talked about this in one of our presentations that we did, like about the markup, and he was
Yeah.
really addressing. Could you talk a little bit about that when you go the traditional route and not the direct to consumer? We're not going to throw anybody under the bus, but we're just going to maybe educate or enlighten a little about what can be some of the markups.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's important to know. I think it's
Yeah.
all about just educating, right, people, because
Right.
like I know for you at Black Dress, right, you want to make sure that your clients have all the information that they can possibly
Hmm.
have to make their
Yeah.
own decisions
Yeah.
about what they
Yeah.
want to do, right?
Yeah.
So I think it is important to know that, the traditional kind of brass metal made urns are, you know, you can probably get them for around $20 to $50,
Okay.
or less than that sometimes to make.
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
you see them being sold, anywhere from $300 to $600, even more
Wow.
sometimes. So, there are the quality is not necessarily exceptional. Let's just say that. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are unfortunately pretty high markups in the industry, because that has
Wow.
also been the norm, and people
Yeah.
have just accepted it. They haven't, families haven't really looked elsewhere for options, and
Right.
because they haven't known that other options are available for them.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Um,
think that
so
that's, and even if they choose not going with an oak tree product, I think just shopping around is a very important part of the process and just having those options.
Totally. And we have
Yeah.
families who end up coming to us and really want something super custom made. And we don't really do custom made pieces just because it's hard
Hmm.
to just continually do one off
Yeah,
memorials.
yeah.
But we, through our artist relationships, whether it's with our current or other artists that we've linked with, our current artists or
Hmm.
other artists, we'll help families. We want them to find a memorial they love, so we'll refer them to someone who we know can make, um, you know, a specific piece that they're looking for if
Right,
it's custom.
right.
So
Yeah. Well, let's dive into one of my favorite subjects, which is jewelry. So I'd love to hear, a little bit about, some of the items that the Oak Tree has in
yeah,
terms of memorial and cremation jewelry. Why
yeah,
can't
I
I say
think
jewelry today? Like, what is wrong with me? Okay.
it's, it's those R's in there.
I know.
I think the jewelry is really interesting because you're seeing also a lot of like innovation in the space with these new
Mhm.
companies coming into the end of life industry, who are trying to create new ways like ashes to diamonds and new
Right.
ways to carry your loved one with you, but in a very like
Becoming a coral
inconspicuous.
reef,
Yeah, come
being shot
coral
out into
reef,
space.
planting a tree, memorial
Yes,
forests. There's
exactly.
really
Yeah.
cool things, but specifically on the jewelry front, and we have a lot of really exciting plans to innovate on that front,
Hmm.
which hopefully we'll be able to share with you like come the new year,
Right.
to have families find ways to continue to hold their loved one close. And I
Right.
think cremation jewelry is really great because so in the lockets you can obviously put a little bit of ashes,
Hmm. Hmm.
but there's other ways to memorialize, like whether
Hmm.
it's incorporating like hair or some other kind of
Right.
significant piece to remember your loved one by, or even if they're still alive, if you want to
Right.
have a different kind of substance in there, with probably usually
Right.
like hair or something. But I think it's great. I mean, we have customers who have come to us to buy, one memorial piece with a memorial pendant, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll end up loving it and they'll buy several for their family
Right.
members, because it really can hold just a pinch of ashes, so you
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
you can share it amongst family and friends, and they can really
Yeah.
all all participate in that memorialization
Yes.
process.
Exactly.
So I think, like, and it's not something you need to necessarily get right at the time of death too. You can
Exactly. That's
have the
what I
ashes in
love.
the
Yeah.
urn, and then
Mm-hmm.
it actually, it is kind of a nice leeway. It is coming the holiday season, right? It is a really, we've seen a lot of our families just purchase a necklace as a gift,
Okay.
for other people. Say, hey, I know you just lost your loved one, recently. I got
Oh,
you a memorial pendant, because I thought, it'd be a nice way for you to, commemorate, your father, your mother, your sister.
right.
Um,
Right.
and it's just it's a really nice way, because also the pendants that we've
Mm-hmm.
designed and made is that they don't look necessarily like a big pendant that is
Yeah.
filled with ash.
Yeah.
They're really look like just a beautiful and kind of normal standard necklace that you can wear
Mm-hmm.
around, and just be proud of, and have that kind of connection, just
Yeah.
individually yourself. So I
Well, I
think, yeah,
love that.
jewelry is a really great way, I think, to
Yeah.
memorialize.
Yeah. And some people it's not their, thing, but I really love the options that are coming out and I look forward to seeing what's gonna come out in the new year. But you're right, that is a great item to gift and a very meaningful one for
Yeah,
someone who's lost a loved one and you're looking for a way to provide them with a way to get through their or to accompany their grieving journey. So
totally,
um,
totally.
well, I'm sure you guys sort of in this industry you sort of follow what's hot and what's not in the urn industry. So, I mean, obviously you said, the brass stuff is definitely a little passe, but talk about just how you follow trends, how that, weaves into your process of coming up with new products or
Hmm.
maybe sunsetting some other ones, like how, and I know you're not that old, so you maybe haven't got, your company isn't, haven't got to that stage, but I'd love for you guys to hear how you guys stay abreast of the latest trends.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question, because our families that we've served thus far, have
Mm-hmm.
really ranged in terms of the people we're talking to. It could be anywhere from an 18-year-old who just lost
Mm-hmm.
someone, and Gen Z, who has completely probably different consumer tastes than someone who's 70 years old,
Mm-hmm.
who's looking maybe for something more traditional. So we want to give a diversity of selection to reach
Mm-hmm.
all families. So we want to
Mm-hmm.
maintain that kind of contemporary look, but also make sure we have the more traditional pieces while also being, within that contemporary umbrella.
Right.
Um, so I think I mean, it's a great question, because consumer tastes are changing every
Yeah.
year. So, like,
Yeah.
we continually ask our the families we're currently serving, like, what they were looking for exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of the material type. So we've
Right.
seen a lot of families love woods, and specifically the sustainably sourced woods and
Ah,
materials. And
okay. Okay.
um, I think specifically, it's not only a California thing that people love,
Yeah.
good, like, natural wood tones.
Yeah. Yeah.
People really love that everywhere, and most
Yeah.
of our pieces are ultimately made of wood, because there's something so, like, very genuine and, like,
Mm-hmm.
custom kind of feeling about a wood
Mm-hmm.
piece.
Yeah.
And specifically with our ones that you can see the actual, like, grains and the veneers,
Mm-hmm.
they are all individual in their own right, because all the grains are kind of different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a nice one. But yeah, we're looking to continuing to do, like, quizzes and surveys for
Yeah.
customers, as well as new customers, to just make sure that we're creating styles that people want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, just kind of more on a macro level, we're Miles and I follow pretty closely, just design and home decor companies, because that's
Okay.
ultimately what we're, kind of looking to, to cater to
Right.
what are modern decor companies doing? What are
Mm-hmm.
um, really cool architectural firms doing with homes? What are they doing with interiors? To make sure that, our pieces can fit within those schemes.
Right. Right.
So I think that's also a nice thing to keep a pulse of.
Okay. I love
Yeah.
that. You guys are just staying on trend, man. I love it. So,
Yeah, we're trying to. I think we're going to have like, our core products going forward into year two, year three, and so forth. But then we're going to try and, innovate and see some different, innovate and experiment, excuse me, with some different styles and see
right.
what people like. And I think that, as you said, like the vase urn is really cool. It's a great
Mm-hmm.
idea for like having something that really you would never know is an urn. Um,
Exactly.
but it serves that purpose. So
Yeah.
different ways you can do that with different kinds of styles and products.
Well, and especially for a loved one who loved fresh flowers.
Yeah,
And what a way to tie both of those worlds in.
totally, totally.
As we are rounding out, like I said, National Estate Planning Month, and
Hmm.
everybody getting your will, getting your healthcare directives, all of those things in order. I would also strongly encourage for you to think through and maybe document some of your memorial or funeral preferences. So how, if I were to say, you know what, call Max and Miles or call Oaktree, how would that process work from soup to nuts of them working with you to select a product, an urn, a piece of, a pendant that would accompany their memorial and funeral preferences?
Yeah, definitely. And so as we've grown and served more people, we've seen increasingly so people actually be purchasing urns for themselves or their family members
Mm-hmm.
well before they pass. We just
Mm-hmm.
had a lovely woman who we were speaking with. She unfortunately lost her husband, but
Mm-hmm.
loved the style of the urn that we made for him, and
Mm-hmm.
wanted the same one for herself. So we engraved, and we can engrave most of our urns. So we
Oh,
engraved
okay.
like her
Yeah.
name, when she was born, but then we just
Right.
left the third line blank for whenever she passes. She was, in her
Mm-hmm.
50s, of perfectly good health, not looking to
Right.
leave this earth anytime
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
And but she just wanted to plan. Losing, I think, her husband made her and her children want to really make sure that everything was planned for her when eventually she
Right.
passes away.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
hopefully that kind of event doesn't have to be the onus to actually prepare, but
Mm-hmm.
it can, make you realize that, okay, wow, it's really helpful once we're getting ahead of the curve here. But yeah, if you, are looking to do something for yourself, and want to have a say in the how you're memorialized, definitely you
Mm-hmm.
can reach out by phone or email, and we can either, hold you, you'll order now, and we can either hold your order until the day you unfortunately pass away,
Mm-hmm.
and have your family's contact information,
Right.
or we can do it similar to what we did with an engraving. We do your name, and
Mm-hmm.
then the end your death date can be engraved after the fact. Um,
Yeah.
or we can just send you one without engraving, and you can just have
Okay.
it,
Okay.
ready to go. Because I think it's a great way just to prepare. You and your family will have that
Yeah.
out of the way, that box checked, but you also have something that you'll love and be like, okay, yeah. If you do want to
Yeah.
get cremated and you do want your family to have your ashes, I
Yeah.
think it's a really nice way to do that. And we've actually seen some families purchase an urn, and have, just plan to have it for 6 to 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
but then actually scatter all the ashes, but keep our
Mm-hmm.
urn as a memorial, as a memento for that life that it's, honoring in their home, just as a memorial piece rather than, an urn per se.
Right.
Um, you
Right.
know, so there's really different, a lot of different ways you can use our memorials for that.
Yeah. And when I'm working with a client and we're documenting their memorial wishes, if you were to pre-buy and hold it there, I can add that in the document that's there on file for the family down the road.
Yeah.
And speaking of documenting, so I do have a great after loss guide that you can receive if you join my email list. And there is the link directly to Oaktree. And there is a promo code that you can get 10% off if you use the code Black Dress.
That's right.
So, yeah. So if anyone wants to use that, feel free to either send me a DM, or you can go to my website and join my newsletter in order to get that promo code. So
Yes, and they should check out your the blog piece you wrote for us.
yeah, exactly. Yes,
The blind
yes, exactly.
spots.
Yeah, the
Blind
blind
spots for end
spots.
of life
Yeah,
planning.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So, well, what's next for Oaktree besides, world domination? I don't know. What's next?
I love your phrases. World domination. I mean, what's next? Yeah, as I said, we're gonna, as we go into year two, we're really gonna continue to try and increase the amount of families we're able to serve, and
Right.
but also continue to try and innovate with different products and different ways for
Mm-hmm.
our current families to maybe, try different ways of memorializing, a loved one. Whether that's some cool new ways to do it through cremation jewelry or other
Right.
kind of methods of using jewelry as a memorial piece,
Right.
or
Right.
through an urn. Also, I think there's a lot of different ways you can innovate in terms of scattering and the
Mm-hmm.
experiences with that. So
Yeah.
we're going to try
Yeah.
and offer really families, ultimately, we're going to try and provide them every single way. Like you can, really have a beautiful, meaningful memorial experience. Um,
Right.
and that's ultimately what we want to provide for them because, when Miles and I went through it ourselves before Oaktree was a thing, we
Mm-hmm.
only had maybe one or two options. So we want to make
Right.
sure, and they were not of the, utmost quality. So we want to really provide exceptional experiences and exceptional products, and
Right.
give
Right.
families the opportunity to choose what they want, as hopefully before the time of
Hopefully
death, and
before.
with
Yeah,
plenty of time to make that
absolutely.
decision. So
Yes. If at all possible. We know there are many times that it's not possible, but
yeah,
if so, we'd love for you to integrate Oaktree into your end of life planning journey. And I just can't say enough great things about the two of you. And tell people how they can connect, learn more.
hmm.
I mean, I've pinned your IG handle here at the bottom, but how else can people learn more about Oaktree?
And did you come up with this hashtag earn goals? Is that
I did.
a
Yeah, that's
Rachel
a Rachelism.
Donnelly
Yeah, that's a Rachelism.
patented
Hey, I
hashtag?
started using it and I've just gone with it. So,
I love it. I love it. But yeah, you can find us at Oaktree_memorials on Instagram, but then also oaktreememorials.com. You can give us a call, at 888-258-9501, and we'll always either pick up or call you back that same day and make sure that we're helping you out. Or you can
mm-hmm.
chat us or email us. Yeah, please feel free to reach out if you just want to talk through ideas.
Yeah.
And we'd be happy to talk to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully
And they
you
have
reach
a
out.
great blog. I mean, I'm not promoting myself, but you guys do have a great blog with lots of great information and sort of
Thank
that
you.
full scope of preparing for
Yeah,
end of life.
we're
So a
looking to
lot of
build
great
that
info.
out too, and
Yeah.
we actually have a Facebook community where we have some members of we invite all of our customers, but then anyone's free to join, where we do post more resources. A lot of them
Right.
have been black dress generated,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we're trying to just be as helpful as possible during that time.
I love it. I love it. Well, I just can't thank you enough for you guys really being innovators and really disrupting this whole industry. So thank you for that, first and foremost. And
Thank you.
then thank you for being on my IG live and for humoring me with all of my craziness and nuttiness. And so glad my internet started working. We were able to get on today. But then for all the practical tips, guidance you've given people, and for rounding out National Estate Planning Awareness Month. So
Yeah, definitely. And thank
that's
you
it.
again. And like it's also kudos to you for all the families you're serving now. And it's really great to see that. So
Hey, it takes a village, doesn't it? So
yes.
we're doing it together. So
Hmm.
well,
Cool.
Max, thank you. I really encourage you guys to check out all the great things that Oaktree has. And Max, I know we'll talk again, so stay in touch. But please reach out, and thank you guys for joining us here on my IG Live today. So I hope y'all have an awesome day.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Rachel.
everybody. Thanks. All right, bye-bye.